Welcome to another Towards Understanding podcast, and possibly the best nicknamed person I've ever had the chance to have a chat to on the podcast. How about having the nickname The Machine Gun Preacher? It is pretty cool. In fact, he's had a major movie made about his life as well. I'm really looking forward to sharing this story of Sam Childers with you. He is standing up for justice around our world. Do please rate, review, like the program. It helps us get it out to more people. Let's get stuck into this conversation with the Machine Gun Preacher. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, man. How are you doing?
So good to have you here, and great to hear your story as well. Let's sort of head back before you had a bit of a change in your life. You were, I think, probably from most people's perspective as they looked at your life, a pretty violent bloke who was heavily into drugs. Is that a fair sort of summary?
I don't even think that's close to who the real Sam Childers was 30 years ago. I always tell people that I was like the scum of the earth. I was the worst person you would have ever met. I was not a good guy. I hurt a lot of people. I mean, I messed up a lot of people's lives. Man, I just wasn't a good person, you know.
Yeah. That sort of a lifestyle doesn't do much for the soul. It doesn't necessarily do much for keeping yourself out of prison either. You found yourself in prison, didn't you?
Well, I found myself in jail several times. I never went to prison for a long period of time. I was in jail quite a few times.
Yeah. And what sort of things were you sent there for? Was it drug possessions? Was it violence? What was it?
No, it was almost always for fighting. It was for like guns. It was like for I was in jail one time for like attempted murder, a few other serious charges. The charges all got dropped for lack of evidence, and I've always said that it was because of God. God got me out of it. I mean, bottom line, everybody that goes to jail will always say, no, I wasn't guilty. I was guilty. Yeah. But God got me out of them, you know.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're saying because there was a bigger purpose for you to actually get involved in as well. Let's take us on a bit of that journey. Here you are, this guy who, I've seen bits of a documentary that's being made as well, Sam, of your life. And people just go to tell you about what you were like back then, and they break down in tears because it's just hard for them to remember that. What happened that changed you to have a heart for others rather than perhaps just for yourself?
Well, it was a slow process. It didn't happen as fast as it did in the movie. The only thing that's really messed up about the movie is they took 30-some plus years put into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So as far as the life change, I got into a bad bar fight, Orlando, Florida. Turned out to be a shootout. I almost got killed that night. And that night on the way home, I said, I'm done living this life. See, I don't have a problem and stuff with dying, but I got a problem with if I'm going to die, okay, for something stupid. So I made up my mind on the way home, I'm done living this lifestyle. I went home, I told my wife, I said, hey, we're getting ready to move. And she was all for it. She was waiting on that opportunity in order to get out of that lifestyle. So we moved 1,000 miles away, and I just started living a different life. Now immediately, my wife started in the church, but it was actually 2 years later until I walked into that church and I said, all right, here I am, God, use me. Yeah. Never dreamed that I would be on this journey I've been on for the last few years.
Yeah, you had this change as your wife, and you made a decision to change in life. Your wife started heading to church. You eventually headed off to church as well, and you had a bigger picture. You started serving others. It was all out of a trip to Africa. Could you take us along that journey, and then actually what's happening now?
Right. I went on a 5-week mission trip. Never dreamed what was about to happen, but I've always said God is a very clever God. He knows how to get you right where he wants you, but then it's up to you to make the right, decision. I went into South Sudan, and I come across a body that might have been 2 days old that stepped on a landmine. When I stood over that body, I said, God, how can this happen in the world today and we not hear about it? And I made a commitment standing over that body. I'll do whatever it takes to help these people. I was back in Sudan supporting the people and helping the people pull landmines out 3 months later. never dreamed that it would be a 15-year journey and I would still be in Sudan. But it's not just Sudan anymore. I mean, a lot of people think that I just work in Sudan. I actually work in Ethiopia, Uganda, and South Sudan.
Yeah. Now, there's two parts of what you do, Sam. As far as sort of a really basic summary that I can understand. One is you're starting to, and you have been running orphanages for quite a while now for kids that need that. The other part of it, and I suppose that's where the machine gun preacher part of it comes in too, of actually taking up arms to go and effectively re-kidnap kids, as it were. Well, not really kidnapping, but they've been kidnapped into these armies as youngsters, and you sort of rightfully bring them back. Is that a sort of fair summary of the work that you're doing?
That is fairly fair to say that. I mean, it's not so fact of taking up arms as it is carrying a firearm.
Sure.
And using it for your protection as well as other people's.
Yeah.
So I don't like to be like a vigilante or anything. I don't believe I've done anything that the guy next to me wouldn't do. It's just maybe the only difference is I had a choice to either pick up a firearm and save children or walk away. I chose to pick up the firearm, and I believe everyone out there listening would do the same thing. Just the only choice that I made is I never put it down.
Yeah.
So I continue rescuing children, but what you got to remember, the Lord resistant people that I've been fighting, Joseph Kony that I've been fighting, and the movie you see is all pre-2008.
Sam, how many orphanages do you actually run at the moment? How many kids have you actually helped through that?
We have, with our small orphanages, we have two small ones. Well, I shouldn't say two. I should say three small ones and one large one. So we run 4 different bases where we have children. We have about 260-some kids to 270. We're getting ready right now. We're getting ready to build 2 new orphanages that are very big. One is in Ethiopia and one's in Uganda. So, and those orphanages are for older children. Most orphanages, when a child is 15, 16 years old, they got to leave. These ones are being built for children that's going to universities. They will be self-sustained orphanages with businesses in them, like from restaurants to grocery stores, supermarkets, hair salons, hotels. They'll all be built in with the orphanage, so the older children will actually run them as well as learn a trade for their future while they're going, to universities.
Yeah, just great stuff indeed. Sam, I heard you say at some point, and maybe I only got there's a bit of a video that I saw, and you look into the camera and you said, if I had to do it over again, I couldn't do it. What did you mean by that?
I don't know. When I look back at all the storms, all the struggles, I can honestly say I wouldn't want to go back in time and do it again. I mean, so many times in our life, people ask us, would you want to go back in time? And a lot of people say, yes, I'd love to do it over again. I wouldn't want to do it over again because I don't know if I could. So I just tell people all the time, maybe it's best just to try to do the very best we can do every day.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to think about doing it over again, because I went through a lot of hard times.
Yeah.
And God was with me every bit of the way. And listen, every day I tell people all the time, He's real. And one question that I want to ask everyone out there, whether they believe or don't believe, what do you have to lose by serving God if He's not real? You have nothing to lose. But I know He's real without a shadow of a doubt. Now imagine what you have to lose by not serving Him at the end of this journey. You have everything to lose. And I think that we sometimes complicate serving God. See, serving God is not a complicated thing. So don't complicate it. I tell people all the time, you can have fun. You can have a blast. I ride a chopper around the United States preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's fun.
My guest, the machine gun preacher, Sam Childers, here on Towards Understanding.